Standards, learning targets, and success criteria. What does this mean? A standard is the learning goal for what you, the student, should know and be able to master during class. You need to think to yourself, what am I learning? The learning target states what the teacher expects the student to know and be able to master at the end of the lesson or unit. It is based on the standard. It's the I can statement. The success criteria makes the student aware of what skills of the learning target they will be assessed on to show mastery of the standard. You need to think to yourself, how can I show my teacher that I'm proficient in the learning standard and target? When we're talking about assessing you on whether or not you understand the learning target, I'm not just focusing on the FSQ or paper or pencil quizzes or what you get on your iReady quiz. I'm looking more for what you're discussing in group work or how you're responding in your reading journal based on the assignments I give you independently. It's looking at what you know based in a wide variety of different learning experiences. So now let's break it down. What does standard LAFS.5.RL.1.1 really mean? Well, the LAFS refers to Language Arts Florida Standard. The 5 refers to 5th grade. I'm so proud of all of you that you've made it. RL refers to reading literature. When we read literature, we're going to focus on fiction stories, myths, fables. We're going to discuss dramas and poems and just a wide variety of fiction text. You'll see on other standards there's an RI, and that's reserved more for reading informational texts, and that'll be more of our nonfiction texts and articles. When we're looking at standard LAFS.5.RL.1.1, it tells the teacher that the student needs to quote accurately from the text when explaining what the text says explicitly and when drawing inferences from the text. This comes directly from the Florida Department of Education. This standard tells me, you, and every 5th grader in the state of Florida what you need to learn and understand in regards to citing evidence using quotes, understanding what the text states and means, which is what explicit means, and drawing inferences, a conclusion that you can reach based on the evidence about the story. The learning target is based on the standard. It's the I can statement. So it's telling the student what they're going to be able to do after they mastered the standard. You will be able to, or I can, quote accurately from the text when explaining what the text says explicitly, and I can cite specific examples and details to support inferences. Now that you know what you can do, we need to discuss how together we're going to decide whether you have mastered the standard. We will look for demonstrating understanding on how to quote accurately from the text when explaining what the text says explicitly, and identify and analyze specific examples and details from the text, and cite evidence to draw and support inferences. As I've mentioned before, it's not just FSQs and iReady quizzes. We're going to work together doing self-assessments, peer assessments, teacher-student conferences, participate in discussions during whole group and small group, reading responses in your Think Journal, homework assignments. There'll be plenty of opportunities for you to show that you have mastered this standard. I know that was a lot of information and you must be exhausted hearing about this, but soon enough, because we'll be referring to these standards, learning targets, and success criteria daily, you will soon be able to write your own learning targets and success criteria. And I look forward to the day when you're able to do that and have full understanding on what these standards mean and what it has to do with your education in 5th grade.